All right, I have to go and coordinate this with my Instagram live account. So give me a second. Hello. All right. So today on Mango Smoothie, you should know I am sorry I've not posted in a while, but I really have not had anything exciting. There's been a lot of exciting things happening, but I feel like in my life right now, I really need to make a change and I really need to start learning again because I've completely given up on everyone helping me. Uh, and so I've decided to do something fun, and I'm making guacamole, and I'm going to try to sell it tomorrow at the Santa Monica Farmers Market. So those of you not familiar with the Santa Monica Farmers Market, it's like this really bougie, interesting thing on the west side of Los Angeles where people go and they like buy all this fancy food. And so I'm going to make guacamole and try to sell it. So what I've done to try preserving the guacamole over the past 2 weeks is I bought a bunch of chemicals from the internet that can go and help make this guacamole last longer in people's refrigerators. And so I had a little success selling my guacamole at the farmers market in South Pasadena. And now I'm going to try to do it at the farmers market in Santa Monica. I figure, so I've given myself a bunch of different guacamole containers that I could possibly work with, and I have to go and pick a bunch of cilantro leaves off the cilantro to make the guacamole. I will make the guacamole live tomorrow morning from my apartment after I go running, and this should all start around 7:30 or 7 a.m. So let's get started with the cilantro leaves. Hello? Okay, hello, workaholics. All right. So the cilantro leaves, I gotta go get something. Dodger, what's wrong? Dodger? Dodger, what's happening? Dodger. 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 Oh, Dodger. Dodger. Okay. Dodger. Dodger. All right, so now I'm back. I'm back here. All right, so to make the guacamole, we have to go and pick the cilantro leaves off the cilantro. And I as you guys know, those of you who just joined, I am going to the Santa Monica Farmers Market to sell my guacamole tomorrow morning. Now, I've given up on anybody in my family helping me get a job because they just don't know how to do it. They all remain pretty spoiled. So I think this is the worst part of the guacamole making process is picking the cilantro off of the leaves off the cilantro. But the thing is, if you have the stems of the cilantro in the guacamole, it basically tastes like you're eating pieces of twig in your mouth, which are like not a really good texture. Like I like to have some kind of crunch, but like I don't want that to be wood. But when you're having a wooden taste, it's not very flavorful. But the leaves are really tasty. So picking the leaves off the cilantro. I really wish there was a machine that could do this for me. Maybe I'll have to invent it. Got to sit down and read the book on that. Any suggestions on the book for building machines? No one has them. Okay, I do. It's called Shingli Mechanical Engineering Design. So here's the cilantro leaves. It's honestly like not the most exciting process. I might start watching Star Trek in my Instagram live feed. So I'm at my parents' house and I'm 33. So yes, that is how rock bottom I am in my life. But I am the only one who can get myself out of here. And no one is going to help me. All right, so the cilantro leaves are there's just a lot of them, and you have to literally just pick every single one off. So today I went to a new grocery store that's closer to my day job in El Monte, California, called New Taiwan. And New Taiwan Market is basically like a Costco for people from Taiwan. Yes, Philip, you're very spoiled. You somehow like get everything you want. Then, so the New Taiwan Market, it's a Chinese market. It's a Chinese Costco. So if you could imagine that, it's a Costco with things not as with as many things as a Costco, but like just not as spread out. They're gonna have things on top of each other. There's gonna be like 5 different things on top of the rack in the New Taiwan Market. So like let's say what I mean by that is so like if you have a shelf in Costco, it's like a tall shelf that goes to the ceiling. But like in that shelf space just above like the olive oil, there will just be olive oil. But in the New Taiwan Chinese market, you'll have all that olive oil in one part of the shelf, and then the other rack above that will be something like avocado oil or like dried beans, and then above that will be beer, and above that will be containers. So they have that going on in a space that's about a quarter of the size of Costco. And take a fork and run it down the stalk. It's a faster way of separating. All right, so I'm going to try this fork idea with the cilantro. Let's see what happens. So let me get the fork. All right, so now I'm going to try separating the cilantro leaves with a fork. So I have the fork here. Here's the cilantro. Let's try separating it. And nothing's happening. See, this is why it's not working. Maybe if I go against, not the grain, but against the leaves, it'll separate, and it's not working. So That was a bad strategy. Uh, so let's just keep doing this very manual labor of removing cilantro leaves. In a bunch. So I'm supposed to take a bunch of cilantro leaves like this, and we're supposed to take a fork and run it down the cilantro to remove the leaves. And it's not working. Let's take a larger bunch of cilantro leaves. Larger cilantro. Okay. I don't want that one. Okay, that kind of worked. But not all the leaves were taken off. Some of them avoided the fork. All right, so this is taking just as long as it would take for me to basically pick the leaves off the cilantro. So I just don't like this suggestion. Like it's slightly easier, but it's taking me just as long. Like I'm basically brushing this with a fork. Ah, what dish are you going to make? So I'm making guacamole, except I'm preparing the guacamole that I'm going to make and try selling at the Santa Monica Farmers Market out of the back of my Prius. So let's keep making the guacamole. All right. See, this just honestly, this is the most tedious process. Uh, so now we're making the cilantro leaves. Should we talk about? So, what books have I read? I've honestly needed to go back. I what did I read? How has my summer reading been? So, it's been pretty easy. Like I've just read The Hunger Games and I reread them. Oh, go Michael. That's what my sister's boyfriend's saying to me. So have you guys ever been in like an environment where everybody's like, yeah, good job, but like they really just like don't care? So that's kind of like what my family members do. Like if I'm like, oh, I'm trying to learn how to do this interview, they'll be like, wow, good for you. Good job. And then they'll like smile and not do anything. Uh anyway, so back to my so what's going on? So the Santa Monica Farmers Market is where we're taking the guacamole. I was successful at the South Pasadena Farmers Market, and I kind of got a following. I figured there's going to be a lot of eccentric people at the Santa Monica Farmers Market, and they're going to tell me how they're like better at making guacamole than me. And I'm just going to be like, are you going to buy this? Because frankly, like I'm driving Uber to pay for the extra rent at my apartment that I'm only getting what's going on in my apartment. That's kind of interesting. Okay. So at I've been interviewing people to be my roommate, and I found one person I kind of like, Tim. Otherwise, I keep getting these really interesting messages on Facebook. So most of them are girls who are under the age of 22 with a child that want to be living with me. And like, I just don't think that's a healthy environment for them or for me to be living with them. Because if you're 22 with a child, you need to be, and your parents have picked you out of the house, or you're 17 with a child and your parents picked your house, you need to be with other 17-year-olds with a child whose parents kicked them out of the house because the resources and social environment for that is just not good. So I interviewed this one guy, and he was one of these people who was like really obsessed with his hair, and his hair made him like really unique. So he dyed his hair, I think it was like purple or something, and his hair looked really good. But the thing is, he didn't really look very good. And I was thinking to myself, when is the last time this guy exercised? because you can try to make your hair look good. Like, let's face it, my hair's not like the best looking right now, but I could just go get a haircut and get it. It would look better, and I could look like I could should be working at Google. But I don't have a haircut. Coronavirus was great for letting me grow my hair long. So, anyways, this guy, I start interviewing him, and he sends me like these really strange emojis, and the emojis are like, ah, they're like literally, if you look at my forehead, it's like this. Like it's like happy, and I was like, this is really strange. So I meet him, and I show him the place, and he's like bopping around, like, this is great. This is so great. Thinking to myself, like, whoa, what's going on? Can you describe why it's great? It's just great. And he told me how he was a host at the Raymond restaurant, which is down the hill from where my apartment is. I live in the ugliest building in this slightly trendy area of South Pasadena. And anyways, I was like, okay, I'm not living with this guy. He's probably never going to live in the apartment. And I just didn't get back to him. So the next guy I talked to, he told me how he'd moved out here from Michigan because his brother had graduated from UC Davis Law School, and he was trying to become an entertainment lawyer. So this was the brother, not him. And then my first red flag is like, why would anybody want to live with a lawyer or like somebody whose sibling was a lawyer? Like, these people are so annoying, and they, especially the ones who go to bad law schools, because like it doesn't matter, and nobody really cares if you worked hard there, because everyone else could go to UC Davis Law School or Southwestern Law School and get a degree there. So, and I don't want to deal with some brother that's gonna like sue me for no reason. That just sounds like a headache. And so, anyways, I was like, okay, do you know what? He seems fine. I just need a roommate. So I have him come in, and he looks at the place. Hey, what it how many rooms in my apartment? So there's my room, there's the living room, which has become basically my gym. And I really like having that. It's great to have an at home gym or like weights there because of coronavirus. Like, I just kind of had all the equipment. And anyway, so the second guy, the lawyer brother, he worked at like a restaurant, and he told me that he didn't need to go to college because he wanted to work in the food industry. And I guess my thought of working in the food industry is, okay, you're gonna like own a restaurant, or you're gonna be doing what I'm doing and going to the Santa Monica farmers market trying to sell something. It's not working as a waiter or working as somebody as in the machine. And it's one thing to work at a place like Starbucks and then just start trying to go to different levels of Starbucks by applying to the different jobs at the corporation. Because it's Starbucks and everybody would start out making coffee. Like, that's kind of just what you do there. So, anyways, he seemed fine, and he was okay with the fact that I was kind of disorganized. But the thing is, I'm very clean. And I really think that in a roommate, you don't have to be the most organized person, but you should be like a clean person. And a clean person is going to spend at least 30 minutes a week cleaning something in their house. And that could literally be like, I'll probably put my alarm on, clock on, and I'll just, or like yesterday, I put my alarm on for 30 minutes and I just scrub my kitchen and I clean the floors and I clean the area around my dining table. Then the third roommate was this guy, and I didn't really know much about him. And he shows up, and he was kind of a gangster. So he's like, I was like, okay, cool, like, yeah, whatever. And then he told me how he had 3 kids living in Altadena, and he wanted to live in South Pasadena, so it was close to them. But the thing is, like, I don't really care if you have kids as long as they're like in boarding school and they're not going to be around me, because I'm 33 and I'm single, and I just don't think I live in a very good lifestyle for a teenager to be around. Also, I'm a pretty intense guy. So it's like, okay, this isn't gonna work out. And he shows up and he has like his do rag on, and I'm like, I don't even know anybody who wears the do rag. And I work with all kinds of people from all over the place in Los Angeles area. Like they would think this guy was kind of a thug, and I was like, "You're younger than me, and you have like 3 kids. Like this is weird." So that didn't work out. Then the next guy, Tim, was the only one who graduated from college. He uh, also, now that I'm around roommates, I like really like my roommate Patrick. I thought it was going to be totally weird because he had this daughter who was at this rehab facility, but it ended up working out great. But he was also like educated, and it was fine. He was fine if I brought a girl over or brought a guy over, whatever. And he would do the same, and he would do his karate lessons. It was totally fine. But I'm thinking at some of these guys, I'm like, who are you going to bring over to my house? Like, who happy? So who are you gonna bring over to my house? Like the last guy I lived with, he didn't bring anyone over. The last guys I lived with were kind of strange in Silver Lake because they were just like really spoiled. Like legitimately, their jobs were like to do. One of them was like editing videos. Like I could do that, but like it was a pretentious job, and there were all these people applying for it on LinkedIn. And except he was doing it, and like his friend in digital marketing or something got him the job. Uh, then the other guy I lived with, oh, what was wrong with those guys? Those guys were just kind of lazy. Like, I just don't like being around people who are not motivated or like get wasted and get crossfaded at the golf park course like every weekend. Um, all right. So then I had Tim come over, and Tim seemed was the most educated of everyone I had interview for my place, except he didn't like it. He claims because there was like no carpet, and he, which I think was like a stupid excuse. Like you could just be honest and be like, you know what, I just don't want to live with you, but people aren't honest. Instead, they always have an excuse for something. I learned that from my mother and my siblings and my father, who always have excuses. And all right. So that's what it's been like looking for roommates. I posted on Craigslist. I'm finding the best applicants are from Craigslist, not from Facebook. Partially because I keep getting all these messages from all these girls on Facebook, and they all have the kids, like I mentioned. And that's not who I want to live with. All right. So what's going on with my summer reading? So I'm about done with the third Hunger Games book. Before that, I read. What did I read before that? Oh my god! No, my first summer reading book was so dumb. Like legitimately, I've only read 2 things in gay literature, and they've always been the dumbest books I've ever read. Like the one of them won a Pulitzer Prize, and didn't even know what it was, and that like legitimately the end of it was like, I don't need more, I need less. Like how cliche could you be on a book? Then the second one, like in part of it, he was talking about how it was like Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker making out, and I was like, oh my god, this is so weird. Why would you anybody write about this? And like it was a best-selling book. So I kind of gave up on that. What do I recommend? So nothing exciting is happening in my life. Oh, what else has happened? Oh, my sister got me this blender, and she claimed it's because like she didn't want it, but it was really because it was broken and she didn't want to throw it away. So she gave it to me, and then it like broke that day. The one time I used it, I was like, "Wow, Mimi, you could have just thrown it in the trash can." But that's my sister. What else has happened? Oh, I've gotten pretty good at interviewing for jobs because I read a book on it. It was called "Knock 'Em Dead: Job Interviews," and it teaches you like different ways to prepare for different questions. And I have to review it, but there are certain things you say and you don't say. And unfortunately, a lot of people pretend they know what to say, but they really don't know how to do it. All right, so I'm almost done with the cilantro bunch. Hello. My work, nothing's happened at my work. I'm finding that I actually get I get people interested in products through social media. And like, that's really all I should be doing for sales is social media. So tomorrow I'm going to be live from the Santa Monica Farmers Market trying to sell my guacamole out of the back of the Prius. Let's see what happens. Okay. Goodbye, everyone.